I seriously want to have dinner here some night and talk to the people who own this restaurant. This is the Ghost Town Tavern and Restaurant. It was established in 1902, and it's one of the few remaining buildings left from the old, well, it's now a ghost town, but it was a town called Ulao. I am just east of Grafton, Wisconsin, and this particular area has intrigued me for a very long time because there's not a whole lot left of Ulao, but this is one of the few remaining buildings. I believe, according to the website on this restaurant, on their website, there's only like 5 buildings left of what used to be Ulao. And the place we're going to go next has a little bit of political / presidential history involved in it. So we're going to head there next. And an interesting thing about this road that we're driving on, Q, is that I don't know if anybody even knows this, but this section of road was the first paved road in Wisconsin. All right, this next place I'm showing you is what looks to be a typical farmhouse. Very old farmhouse, but in fact this was once the Gau Residence, and if that name may sound familiar, it's because a gentleman by the name of Charles Gau, who was born in September of 1841, died on June 30th, 1882, was the man who assassinated James A. Garfield, who was then President of the United States. He did that in 1881. Fired 2 shots into his back. And for a time, the family lived here in Ulao. And they lived at that house right there. You know, I wonder if the people who live there even know that. After he shot him, he was apprehended and taken to jail, originally for attempted murder, because Garfield did not die that day. He ended up dying because of, let's just say the doctors that were working on him didn't know what they were doing back in the day. And they ended up killing him, basically. He suffered for like 11 weeks and then passed away. So then Charles Gau was charged with murder, and he was hung the following year. Now his mother, who passed away very young, she's buried here in Ulao somewhere. I don't know exactly where. This has now been incorporated as part of Grafton. There are streets named like Ulao Parkway, but this is 2 now locations of the 5 that existed back in the day when it was called Ulao. I did do an episode in the past on Grafton and the importance of Paramount Blues. There was a recording studio called Paramount Records, and a lot of the early Delta blues was recorded there at this location in Grafton, Wisconsin. We are going to go look for the location of where Paramount Recording Company was. Apparently it was in a building that housed a furniture building operation as well. So I'm hoping to find that, and we'll talk a little bit more about Paramount Blues. It's a shame because they used to have a festival called the Paramount Blues Festival in Grafton at Limekiln Park, and it was never really able to gain footing. I mean, they had it probably for maybe a decade, and then was gone. I mean, I love music. I wasn't really knew much about Paramount Blues, and then I did the episode and I was like, well, you know what, there's maybe a possibility that I can find some of this stuff, maybe on YouTube, maybe on Amazon Music. So I did a search on Amazon Music, and there is a collection of Paramount recordings that are available, and I listened to them, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat to know that those were saved. Those recordings were saved this whole time. Now again, when you're listening to it, you're listening to digitalized, very scratchy recordings, very old recordings from the 20s. It's really neat. It's kind of like listening to the Robert Johnson recordings, which I've listened to a bunch of times as well. Now, for those of you who don't know, Robert Johnson he went down to the crossroads in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and rumor is he sold his soul to the devil to learn how to play guitar, became a great early blues guitar player, and died very, very young. I believe he was poisoned by a husband of a lover he had, and he only recorded like 30 songs, maybe something like that. We're coming up to downtown Grafton right now. There's the Milwaukee River, and Paramount Plaza is coming up on the left. As this curves here, we got the distillery. That used to be called Atlas Barbecue. That's no longer there. On the left is this hotel. This used to be an old hotel, the Grafton Hotel. That is reportedly haunted. That is no longer a hotel. That is like apartments, residences. I don't know if you can hear that beautiful sound, but that's Cedar Creek going through here in Grafton. I found where the plaque is, talking about the Blues Trail, Paramount Records. It says here, up on the top, Mississippi Blues Commission, established 2005, and it says the Blues Trail, Paramount Records. Many of the most important recordings in blues history were made at the studio of Paramount Records, located here on the grounds of the Wisconsin Chair Company factory between 1929 and 1932. Mississippi-born blues pioneers including Charlie Patton, Tommy Johnson, Skip James, Son House, the Mississippi Sheiks, Willie Brown, and Harry Townsend traveled north to record here. I do see some brick over there. I don't know if that's part of the foundation of where the company used to be. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff here. It says the Paramount Records was founded by the Wisconsin Chair Company in 1917. During an era when 78 RPM records were often sold at furniture stores to promote sales of phonographs and phonograph cabinets. A pressing plant was established at this location, and recordings were initially produced at its New York Recording Laboratory studio in New York City, and by the early 1920s at the Marsh Laboratories in Chicago, where African-American producer J. Mayo Williams supervised many recordings. Oh, okay. In 1929, a studio was opened at the facility in Grafton. So what I was going to say is that they didn't actually record here. They were just pressed here, the recordings. But no, they actually had a studio here. Paramount recorded a wide range of music, but today is most famous for the blues recordings it began making in 1922. Mamie Smith's 1920 hit Crazy Blues on OK Records had alerted record companies to the sales potential of female African-American blues vocalists, and the Paramount followed suit by recording leading vaudeville women including Ma Rainey and Ida Cox. In 1926, Paramount introduced a new phase in blues recording history when the success of its releases by Blind Lemon Jefferson and Blind Blake revealed a market for male singers who accomplished themselves on guitar. The label's catalog also featured the New Orleans jazz sounds of Jelly Roll Morton and religious recordings by the Reverend J.M. Gates, the Norfolk Jubilee Quartet, and others. To locate talent in the South, Paramount employed field agents, including C.H. Spear, who owned a furniture and music store in Jackson, Mississippi. Spear canvassed the state for talent, made test recordings, and helped to arrange for artists to travel north to record. The most significant of his discoveries was Delta blues pioneer Charlie Patton, who recorded over 40 songs for Paramount. Other Mississippi-born artists who recorded for the label include Tommy Johnson and Ishmael Bracey, the most important bluesmen in the Jackson area. Henry Townsend, who became a leading bluesman in St. Louis, and Robert Johnson's mentor, Son House, who traveled with Patton. Willie Brown and Louis Johnson by car to a historic session in Grafton in 1930. With the arrival of the Great Depression, record sales declined significantly, and in the summer of 1932, Paramount closed its studio. The factory shut its doors the following year. Paramount subsequently achieved legendary status among historians and record collectors, including John Steiner, who purchased the label in the late 1940s, and John Tafteller, who decades later uncovered a treasure trove of Paramount advertising images. The Grafton Blues Association, founded in 2006 to celebrate Paramount's legacy, staged the first annual Paramount Blues Festival that year. Henry Townsend, shown here, shown above, that's Henry Townsend right there, shown above in the mid-1940s, recalled that he stayed in this building at 1304 12th Avenue, which once housed the Vineland Central Hotel, when he came from St. Louis to record for Paramount in 1931. They also stayed at boarding houses in Milwaukee. Townsend died on a return visit to Grafton on September 24th, 2006, just hours after being honored. Wow. On the newly unveiled Paramount Records Walk of Fame. That's what I have in my last episode that I will link at the end of this one. He was the last surviving blues artist who had recorded for Paramount. I guess that's H.C. Spear right there. There's something over here as well. This area around Falls Road and 12th Avenue was originally known as Milwaukee Falls. The location of the dam and mill race, which were removed in 2000, attracted several manufacturers through the years. A chair factory was built in 1848, the same year Wisconsin became a state. It continued to operate as a furniture manufacturer until 1873. In 1893, the Sheboygan Knitting Company began producing yarn in the plant for its parent firm, the Wisconsin Chair Company of Port Washington, which was established in 1888. The factory was known by a variety of names during its existence, including the Milwaukee Chair Company and the Northern Chair Company. By the early 1900s, the plant was turning out more than 40 dozen chairs daily. Several large boarding houses on Falls Road provided living quarters for the workers. There's the Paramount label. You can kind of see that. The Great Depression forced the company to discontinue leasing recording studios in New York and Chicago. Instead, it operated its own Grafton studio from 1929 to 1932. Hundreds of Wisconsin and out-of-state musicians recorded here. Among them were blues legends such as Charlie Patton, Skip James, Blind Jake, Son House, Willie Brown, and Big Bill Brunzi. The last record was made in July of 1932 by the Mississippi Sheiks. The building was demolished in 1938. That's too bad. And there's a really neat picture of the building, but you can't see it because of the wear and tear from the sun and whatever else, but that's too bad. I'll try to find a picture online and put it here. But right here, this is where blues legends were made back in the 20s and 30s. Who would have thought Grafton, Wisconsin? Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Road Trips with Yogi. How about that, huh? That was a history, fun-filled, fact, chock-full episode of just all sorts of good information of history stuff, huh? You are welcome. Thank you folks for watching. Thank you folks for commenting, subscribing. Please do like, share, comment, subscribe. They're all free to do. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I thank you all for watching my videos and commenting. that's gonna do it from Grafton, Wisconsin, home of what was once Paramount Blues Studio and record pressing plant. Until the next episode, folks, I am Yogi. Thank you again for watching this episode. I'm going to put a link at the bottom, at the end of this episode, which will probably be showing up right about now, to the last Grafton episode I did, which will take you to the Paramount Walk of Fame. Take care of yourselves. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I'm out of here.